You know, revenge, it's one of those things that's as old as humanity itself. It's this deep, powerful, primal urge that can push people to do things you'd never, ever imagine.
So let me ask you, how far would you go for a grudge? For most of us, thankfully, that's just a thought experiment. But for some people, the line between something that happens online and real-world violence, well, that line can get terrifyingly blurry.
Okay, so get this. This is the story of a guy named Julian Barreau. About 6 months ago, he's playing Counter-Strike and gets killed by another player. Humiliated. For most of us, that's a moment of frustration and then you move on. But for Barreau, it became a full-blown obsession. He spent the next 6 months hunting this player down, found his actual home, and then stabbed him in the chest with a real knife, missing his heart by just inches.
Now this whole thing, it's obviously an extreme case, right? But a virtual grudge spilling over into attempted murder, it really gets you thinking. What is it inside of us that drives this impulse for revenge? From the smallest little slight to the biggest injustices.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we're going to look at that core impulse for revenge. Then we'll dive into some of history's most epic and brutal acts of vengeance. After that, we'll try to figure out where that blurry line is between justice and vengeance. Then we'll get into the science of what's happening inside an Avenger's mind. And finally, we'll ask the big question, can the cycle ever be broken?
At its core, when you really boil it down, revenge is this gut reaction. It's a response to feeling like you've been wronged, totally humiliated, or that you've lost all control.
Yeah, it's this crazy mix of wanting to set things right and just a raw thirst for payback. It's all about trying to restore what you feel was taken from you, your status, your dignity, your sense of what's fair. And this impulse has shaped human history in some absolutely unbelievable ways.
And trust me, this isn't a new thing. This impulse goes way, way back. Let's jump in a time machine to 945 AD and talk about Princess Olga of Kiev. After a rival tribe murdered her husband, her response became legendary for its cold, calculated, and terrifying cruelty.
So you see, this wasn't just a fit of rage. Oh no, this was a cold, calculated 4-step plan to completely annihilate her enemies. First, she buries their messengers alive. Then she tricks their nobles into a bathhouse and burns them to death. Then she holds a feast, gets them drunk, and has them all slaughtered. And for the grand finale, she burns their entire city to the ground.
And Olga, she was hardly alone in this. History is just littered with leaders who went completely over the top with their revenge. Alexander the Great crucified 2,000 survivors for killing his envoys. Genghis Khan literally wiped an entire empire off the map because they killed his ambassadors. And you've got to love this one. Julius Caesar gets kidnapped by pirates, jokes with them that he'll come back and crucify them all, and then after they let him go, that's exactly what he did.
Okay, so that's ancient history. But what happens in more modern times, when the lines get, well, really blurry? When the person getting revenge isn't seen as a villain, but maybe as a hero?
Take a look at these two cases. On one side, you've got Marvin Heemeyer. He felt so wronged by his local government that he built an armored bulldozer and destroyed half the town. Some people called him an anti-government folk hero. On the other side, you have American soldiers liberating the Dachau concentration camp. Horrified by what they saw, they executed the captured SS guards on the spot. Was that righteous fury, or was it a war crime? In moments like these, where does justice actually end and pure vengeance begin?
So to really get a handle on all this, we need to look at what's going on inside the Avenger's mind.
Listen to this. It's from a letter written by a 22-year-old woman named Olga Hepnarová. Right before she drove a truck into a crowd of people in Prague back in 1973, she wrote, "I am Olga Hepnarová, the victim of your bestiality. I sentence you to death." Her reason? Revenge. Revenge against a society that she felt had bullied and rejected her for her entire life.
So what's the psychology behind this? Well, experts say revenge is all about trying to restore some kind of balance. But the really wild part, our brains are actually wired to enjoy it. Seriously, the act of getting revenge, or even just thinking about it, lights up the same reward centers in your brain that get activated by things like good food or winning money.
And I'm not just making this up. There are studies on this. One found that a whopping 74% of people who get revenge feel this immediate high, this powerful rush of satisfaction. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. That good feeling, it's a total trap. It wears off fast, and what's left behind is actually way worse.
People who seek revenge tend to dwell on it, which leads to more stress, more depression. Revenge doesn't actually heal the original wound, it just creates new ones.
And that right there brings us to the biggest problem with revenge. It just keeps going. It creates this endless cycle, and often we dress it up and call it honor.
You want to talk about honor? Let's look at the legendary story of the 47 Ronin in Japan. Their master was forced to take his own life by a corrupt official, so his loyal samurai spent over a year plotting the perfect revenge. It's a story that's been celebrated for centuries as the ultimate act of loyalty.
But here's the thing. We celebrate the story, but let's look at the actual cost, the numbers. This glorious act of honor was, well, it was a total bloodbath. 16 people killed, 20 more injured. And what happened to the Ronin? 46 of them were then executed for their crime. That's over 60 people dead.
So you have to ask yourself, is that really justice? Is it honorable? Or is it just feeding this vicious cycle where one act of violence just guarantees the next one?
But what if there's another way? Let me tell you about something that happened recently in the Caucasus region, a place that's known for its centuries-old tradition of blood feuds. A man was murdered, and everyone knew what came next: another murder in retaliation.
But then something totally unexpected happened. The killer's family shows up at the victim's wake, and instead of more violence, they kneel, and the elders shake hands. Just like that, an act of forgiveness stopped generations of future violence before it could even start. The cycle was broken, not with more blood, but with a handshake. And that really leaves us with one final big question to chew on. What is true strength? Is it the will to get even, no matter the cost? Or is it having the even greater courage to be the one who finally ends the fight?